Working with calculations in Excel is pretty straightforward. It all involves the same as you would do on a calculator. First of all, we know that each sheet is divided up into cells A, B, C, 1, 2, 3, and you refer to everything as a cell reference, A1, C3, D4. And this is how you would write your formula. Let's take a look at a very simple example. If we type in some simple numbers such as 12 and 10. Now, to calculate those two numbers, we could write a formula. Now, writing a formula is pretty straightforward. You basically say equals, and you must type an equals at the start of all your formulas. So we type the equal sign. Now, we could type 12 plus 10 as you would on a calculator, and when we enter that, you'll see that it gives us the correct answer. The problem with this method is that if we happen to change one of the numbers, such as the 12 to a 13, you'll notice that unless somebody remembers to change the calculation, we've got this inaccurate result. We need a way that when the numbers change, the calculation will recalculate. So let's look at a different way of doing this. Whenever you write a formula, you try and avoid typing numbers. And let me give you an example. We type equals once again. We then, instead of typing the number 12, we type the cell reference. So we say, can you take whatever number happens to be in cell A1 today, and can you add it to whatever number happens to be in cell A2 today? So you'll notice we're just specifying the actual cells, not the content. When we press enter, and this is quite an important part, some people click their mouse away from the calculation. You want to be in the habit of pressing the enter or return key on your keyboard. When we do that, you can see it gives us the number. Now, because we're referencing just the two cells, now if we change this 12 to a 13, you'll notice when we enter that, it recalculates at the bottom. And this is the basis of all formulas in Excel. Now let's repeat this, but do it in a much easier way. You don't need to type the cell references. When you type equals, your mouse will become a pickup tool. So instead of me having to work out where the 12 is, I can just click the mouse on there. When I click on the 12, you'll notice that Excel will automatically type in its reference point. We then just type the regular symbol of plus on the keyboard and then click our mouse on the number 10. You'll notice it puts those cell references in. One thing to bear in mind about the cell references, they are not case sensitive. So it doesn't matter how you type in A1, B7, C9, they're not case sensitive. Enter that and we get the answer. Let's look in a practical example of how we can use this very quickly when working on a spreadsheet. Now we have a whole sheet of numbers. If I want the answer over here, I click where I want to place my answer. Once again, we start by typing an equals symbol to tell Excel this is a formula. Now with my mouse, I can come over to my numbers and pick up any number that I require. For example, I might want to pick up this 39,889 over here. All I do is I click on the number and you'll notice that it puts in the cell reference. I can then say I want to add that to the number next to it, the 45,000. And finally, I want to subtract maybe this 35,000 here. So you'll notice that I'm picking up numbers from anywhere on the sheet, and you can do this in your own books, clicking on numbers either on the same sheet or on different sheets or even different workbooks. Once I've finished my formula, I can press enter. There you can see it gives me the total number. Now when you're working with formulas, a very quick way of seeing a formula is to click on the answer, and if you look at the top of the screen we have what we call a formula bar. You'll notice the formula bar doesn't show you the result, it shows you how the formula is written. Now what I recommend is that you edit directly in the cell, and to do that you can double click your mouse on the cell, and what that'll do, it'll put you back inside the cell as it was when you was writing the formula. If I double click, you'll notice it's put my cursor back inside, so if I need to make changes I can do, otherwise I can just press enter to come off of it. But the interesting thing here is if you look, when you double click into the cell, it also shows you which numbers it's picking up. It color codes the cells as well as the formula. Press enter to come out. The final thing we want to talk about is understanding or being aware of a thing called BODMAS. Now this isn't just Excel, this is maths in general. Now if we type in BODMAS, now I'm going to keep this very simple, but in easy terms what that stands for is brackets over division, multiplication, addition, subtraction. Every time you write a formula in Excel it would adhere to the BODMAS rule, the order of calculation. Now the first thing to note are the symbols used for our common calculations. You'll notice that the / on a keyboard is the division. The asterisk key or star key as some people refer to it is your multiply, and then your plus and minus keys are as they are. So let me give you a very short demonstration of why you should be aware of BODMAS. If I come over to here and type in a very simple calculation, equals 2 plus 5. Now that would give us 7. I then want to multiply that by 10. The answer will be 70. Enter that. You'll notice that Excel returns 52. If we take a look at this calculation, if I double click on the cell, you'll notice that although we would enter this into a calculator in this order, in Excel we need to add something to it. You see at the moment we've got 2 plus 5 times 10, which on a calculator would give us 70. But remember the BODMAS rule. Multiply is always performed before the addition, irrespective of whereabouts it is. So you'll notice that on our calculation, Excel is actually doing this bit of the calculation first, because it does multiplication before addition. So it's actually doing 5 times 10 is 50 plus the 2, which gives us 52. So what we need to do is to add something to this to give us the correct answer. At the start of BODMAS, the B represents brackets. That means anything that the formula sees in brackets it will do first of all. So in this case, because I want to force Excel to do the 2 plus 5 first, if I surround this in brackets like that, it will force it to do that first, then multiply by 10. If I enter this, we get the correct answer. So just be aware of the term BODMAS.